Rock and roll. Wow, good morning, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might enjoy this practice. Reaching out to you from the early morning hours. Um, so I'm starting to feel that cusp of like deep rest winter and crossing that threshold about February 2nd-ish, midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Yes, spring is coming. This is the like heavier end of winter, I think. I think there's enough activity and things to engage in or things to ignore in the first part of winter with holiday season and just getting into winter and all the excitement and all the food and things that comes along with that. And then we get into the winter solstice portal. It's sleepy in there. It's dreamy in there. And then we come out of the winter solstice portal and it's cold and damp, right? It's heavy. It lands heavy in the body. Now, that doesn't mean you're not experiencing heat symptoms. That's fun too to ponder. But as we start to inch towards that February 2nd midpoint time, it's time to light a little fire. It's time to like get things going and get things stirring and get things moving. So I think we're going to start cusping and transforming towards what's coming. And we're going to need that little gentle spark as we start inching towards real spring or early spring, because what we have is the heaviness, dampness, phlegm of winter in the body. And we ignite the spark, a little bit agni, a little bit heating, a little bit circulating and moving, less yin on the floor. Let's relax this way, and then we relax this way, and then we relax this way. We need a little bit more get up and go. And that leads us into spring, where we need quite a bit of get up and go. And that is the heavy, phlegmy part of the year. And that's the time of year that, depending on our climate, we start doing cleansing practices. So, all sorts of Kriya, including deep cleanses, Ayurvedic cleanses, fasts, and all sorts of things. But I'll be real honest with you. That is not right now. That is not winter. It all depends on where you live and your climate when your honest to God cleanse time should be for like digestive purge. But we can start seeding a little bit of movement, a little bit of fire spark right about now. So I'm standing. You're probably already standing. Let's be standing for a little bit and let's just like feel into what a little fire awakening could feel like. So I want to come into this comfortable stance where I've got space between my feet. Like I still have my socks on because it's winter. And there's space between my feet. My toes are facing forward. And I should be able to start this very gentle bounce. I mean, minimal effort. And you can play around with like how wide the feet are. How does that feel? So, first things that are going to be cranky here in the depths of winter: low back and knees. So, can you do this little bouncing movement and fluff the knees? But we'll get there because we probably need to fluff ankles too. But just keep that in mind that if you start doing this and your knees are like, what are you doing? Da, da, da. So we want this little bouncing through the hips. And we want bouncing to feel up in the sacrum. Just sort of going through the landscape, a little wigglies through the pelvic bowl. Now I'm moving upwards towards the ribs. And I'm just sort of inviting things in, like, hey, frozen winter body, what do you think? We're like breaking through the ice. What do you think? Well, ice fishing. So now I'm coming up to a place that seems to be holding a lot, which is in between the ribs. So I'm just dancing a little here and enjoying. So again, this in the lower body, this needs to feel almost like little mini squats, so that as I'm bouncing, the weight of my body is going back to my glutes, not forward towards the toes. So, but just for a moment, bring the mind down to the feet and feel like the weight is distributed all around the feet. Not just forward towards the toes and thus forward on the knees. Okay, we were up in the ribs perhaps. And having a little upwards, shoulders down the arms, wiggling upwards, neck. Just feeling there's places that are into this bounce that are like willing to let this bounce happen. And there's some places that are holding on for dear life. So let's giggle a little with the really holdy places. Relax into the open places. So I'm hanging out for a while up here at my shoulders, that's for sure. Upper back, shoulder blades. What's happening in the frozen tundra under the shoulder blades? For the most part, I'm bouncing up and down, but in order to explore, I am doing a little bit of side movement, and then I come back to the bounce in the center. And one arm in the shoulders and neck. In between the vertebra, up into the head region. All the way to the little fissures in the cranium. Those little joint spaces. So now, we've been bouncing for a minute or more. This is good. This is what we like. A couple of minutes of this. And where are those really, really stuck places today? So today, I had a good massage yesterday, not gonna lie. And it's not so much stuck places, but I'm feeling a ton of heat in my body. Now that's interesting because it's really, really cold out. Like, what on earth could be happening here with all this heat? Well, whatever it is, I want to help it get out. Whether this is latent heat or the heat excited from meditation or just something cyclic, right? So this is a little phenomenon of like, what happens when you're the one who's overheated in the middle of winter? What's that about? That's an interesting inquiry. Now we need to fluff a little, right? So come back down to the feet. Put a little bit of weight over onto the left. The right foot is still on the floor, but like you're fluffing in the right ankle. It's getting a little bit taller. Now, without crushing all that newfound fluff, go over to the right and fluff the left ankle. So we're doing a bouncy version today of Pavamuktanasana, these joint releasing practices. Okay, now how about the knee? Don't squash the left ankle as you come over for right knee fluffing. Sometimes I even like do this little hand gesture so that I can imagine I'm really fluffing in that knee, right? Because I'm switching weight in the sides. I don't want to crush what I just fluffed. Now fluff the right hip. Oh, left hip seems a little crankier. Look, we found something cranky. Fluff both hips. Uh-huh. Fluff the ribs, the spaces in between the ribs. Intercostal. Fluff the right shoulder. Fluff the left shoulder. Let's come all the way down. Fluff the right wrist. Fluff the left wrist. Right elbow, left elbow. Right shoulder, left shoulder. Take down to the tailbone, go up the spine and fluff each of the vertebrae. Take your time. Maybe your gaze is now outward and expansive as we're fluffing through the, right? So our healing principle at work here, if there is inflammation in the body, right, these inflammatory markers, then one of the best ways that we can help ourselves And believe me, we all have inflammation because this oppressive system that we live under inspires a ridiculous amount of inflammation in the body. So that's all of us. I'm just on the extra team today. Right now, I'm just at my thoracic spine fluffing. So, our best healing is to offer up circulation in the body, circulate fluid in fluid filled spaces to move that heat. It's when the heat stagnates and hangs out in a place that we get issues. Still going. This thoracic spine seems to be a slow go. Still going. Okay, probably a C7. Just let me know it's a little congested back there. Maybe a lot of communication is happening. I want to encourage that communication, that flow, breaking through the ice, ice fishing. We're coming up. Cervical spine. Might intuitively close your eyes. Who knows? All the way up to C2, C1 axis atlas. Rotation here. Oh, that's lovely. How about joint spaces of the jaw? Start moving. Moving in the jaw. Oh, yeah. Now I got to try to get some wiggles in there. How about behind the eyes? So it's so much fluid behind the eyes, right? It's so much fluid. Fluid in the sinuses. Can you bounce into the sinuses? How about fissures in the skull, cranium? Let's come back down to the ears. Now whole body, whole body. Whole body. Trying to get it into my traps. Now start to slow down. Let's find a moment of stillness. Let's play with the feet a little. Maybe wiggle, do some circles of the knees. Now pause. I want you to feel all the buzzy. We need a soft knee. Toes are forward for the most part. They could be a little bit turned outwards. Feel the soft, the buzzy, the fuzzy, the flowy. Feel the places that are holding. They should really be very clear now, like the muscle patterns or fascial patterns that are holding. I can feel them because they feel more superficial than the flowy, soupy feeling that I'm tapping into right now. The body itself is holographic. For example, if I have tension, a tension pattern in the fascia or something of that ilk in the right hip, I can fluff both right and left hips and really like emphasize the openness in the other hip, and my right hip could mirror the left hip. It's a really, my chiropractor works in this way where like one place is holding, another place is open, and then this communication paradigm between the two so that the place holding can actually mirror the place that's open. The body is fascinating like this in how it communicates with itself. We're slowly coming into what is the standing meditative pose that we often use. Feel all the fuzzy, buzzy, wuzzy, tuzzy inside. Now close your eyes and come down and find your center of gravity. It's going to be, let's say, a couple finger widths below the navel, basically in between the pubic symphysis and the navel. It's helpful to even put a hand there. And in the stillness following the wiggles, breathe. This is the place in the body where the fire, the yang fire, meets the yin water. And in their meeting place, the strength of yin holds yang. A spiral image comes to mind of the water of yin holding the fire of yang. Bring the mind to the kidneys. That's just below the last rib. So if you need to bring your hands behind you and feel where that space is, it's almost in line with the space just below the navel. So you could even have a hand in the front and a hand in the back. And now breathe to the space in the middle. That's the Ming Men. That's the meeting place. You might find your stance lowers a bit as you come into this space. Right now, if you're in that space, you're breathing into the psoas, connecting at L4, L5 in the back, running diagonal, connecting to the femur. Strong, deep abdominal muscle of the abdomen, the deepest muscle of the abdomen. And in honor of winter, just go another inch higher. Bring the hands around back of the hands, resting on the space just below the ribs, and breathe into the kidney. There's no point in igniting fire if we have not grounded into water. If you don't need your hands there, keep breathing into the kidneys and allow the arms to come ever so slightly forward so there's a little opening and fluffing through the armpit. Breathe into the kidney. Breathe into the kidneys until you feel a little spark, a little awakening, movement, aliveness. My kidneys are saying we could stand to do a lot more breathing into the kidneys. Let's start fluffing through the joints, little side to side movement. All right, so if you have not been doing standing practice with bringing this stance back online is a thing, right? Opposite side, circling with a wiggles, standing twist. All right, we could be picking up one heel at a time. So my Right heel lifts as I twist to my left. This is a super relaxed twist. Just let the hands give a little slap because the arms are so relaxed. And you're not trying to like whip the twist at all. Just let it be flowy. Let the cranky places just crank along. Let the effort become effortless as we sustain this twist for a little bit, not as long as we were just bouncing, but so yeah, that bouncing that we did in the start of class, I would say minimum 2 minutes, but if you can even do more, 5 minutes or so, I think that's about what we did today. Ooh, that is so therapeutic. Moving these inflammatory markers. I mean, just think about how much emotions we're feeling right now. I make all my little posts on the social media and things like this, and what a lot of people are speaking to right now is this sustained rage, frustration, just the impossible feeling for something to change that just won't. All right, a story that keeps going. Well, guess what? All of that inflammation, all of that heat is in the body, and it has to be expressed. And it can't just be expressed through talking, shouting, yes, vocalization, yes, communication, but we need to move the sacred rage in the body. We have to give it an outlet. And what about the principles of alchemy? How can we transmute, bare minimum, neutralize? And start to slow down, come to a stop, and just have another pause for stillness, feeling. Things are starting to lighten up. That's nice. Let's do a slapping practice today. Not that slapping practice, the one where we slap our bodies. So we're going to use the tools of the hands. So we've got soft fists. They look like this on all the sides. Very soft. Right? You can use the outside. You can use the back. We'll have soft cup hands. Right? That slapping sound comes because of the slightly curved structure of the hand. When we're banging, bopping, slapping, you want to feel like it's going in to the bone layer. So we don't go so fast. Let's try to coordinate and be slapping together in the same rhythm, and think in like a deep penetration into the bone layer. That's what we're going for. So we're in that comfy stance, and we've got fists, soft fists, the thumbs on the outside with the soft fist, and we're just starting here at the inguinal crease at the groin. And let me find the rhythm. Ah. Already two, 3 channels that we're affecting here just at the inguinal crease. We could be a little bit, to the outside stomach channel. This greater trochanter we talked about last time, this bony structure where the glutes attach. Now we're into the gallbladder fascia. And I mean, think release, right? Like whatever we are holding on to right now, the frustrations, the heated things, let's find another way. Let's find a way for this to wash through so we can have clarity of mind, comfort in the body, and really be able to be responsive. Again, think in. Now we're going to take cupping hands, turn the right leg out, and we're going to go down the inner leg line and the outer leg line at the same time. Now, hang out at the knee. Really get this vibrations into that knee joint. Keep going down the calf. You may find that there's places in the legs that are a little bit wooden, right? If you find that, hang out there until they feel less wooden and more like a leg. Okay, down at the ankle, if that's where you are, hang out there. Get this into the ankle. We start going back up the leg. I had a little wooden feeling down in the lower calf. Oh, hanging out at the knee. Back to fists at the groin. And meet there. Take a moment, just feel that right leg. Or whichever was the first leg you did. It feel very different. Let's catch up with the left leg a little bit, turning outwards, cupping hand. Go in to the bone. I've got wooden feeling at that left hip. Hanging out there. Okay, I can feel a little flow now. Going down the leg. It's hanging out at the knee. Down the calf. You're not slapping hard. Like I'm not using force. I'm using intention. Focus. A little bit matching wooden feeling. Hang out at the ankle. Oh, that feels really good. Going back upwards. At the knee. And we're back at the hip with fist pounding. Oh, feel into both legs. I'm going around the edges of my hips. I'm going to turn my fist. Now I'm kind of thumb to the inside. Oh, yeah. Getting around. A little bit of that outer hamstring. Where the hamstrings meet the glutes. Now I'm starting to go up the glutes. Up. Cheeks of the bum. Right? If at any point in time you need to stretch the arms, come back. The outsides of the hips. Going up and down the sacrum. SI joint. Now, a pause. You're going to turn and have the backs of the hands at the kidneys. And you're going to mist the kidneys. The kidneys do not want to be pounded. That is not anything they are going to enjoy. Let's just be in the softness of misting the kidney, right? And what about like if there was this is a sensitive time in your cycle, and something down here would also like to be misted in the pelvic bowl, like to misting can happen anywhere, right? But especially for the kidneys, glutes, they tend to get pounded. Okay, so now we're coming to the side body, cup hand, and we're gonna rub through the wrist. And then we had one more tool. We're gonna take knuckles, and we've got solar plexus and the space between the heart. And we're gonna rub these points with the knuckles. And let's say you wanted to rub a little bit higher in the sacrum, totally cool. But especially these two, CB17, CB14. Okay, from here we have fists. We're going to gorilla pound just above the breast tissue here, pectoral muscles. This is lung channel. So here and pound in and down. Oh, that feels good. I say that in every single one because it does feel good. Oh, gosh. In and down. Wow. Nice. Now, gallbladder 20, well in shoulder. We've got cupped hand. We're just gonna give it some pounds up there. So soft cupped hand. Try the other side. I'm pounding rocks. It feels like absolutely impenetrable in there. I think I'm gonna have to go back to the first side. So I'm sweating right now, but I woke up with some serious heat today. So I want to be sweating. This is exactly what I want out of this practice is opening and releasing. Because that heat inside is going to build irritation, frustration, anger, anxiety, melancholy. Also, once it like kind of drops, which it's also going to irritate places and spaces in the body. It's going to try to find a way to get out. Is that going to be a headache going upwards? Is that going to be vaginal discharge going downwards? Right? This is how the symptoms are telling us the story of this body's trying to get rid of heat. Okay, these shoulders actually feel 1% less hard. Okay, now let's do the arms. We've got cupping hands, and we're going to start at the cap of the shoulder, and we're going to move down really like an outer line of the arm. Go into the bones, pause in wooden places, and now we're pausing at the elbow. Oh, that feels really good. Down the forearm, go into the bones. Pause at the wrist. Top of hand, all the way to fingertips. Bottom of hand. Up, wrist. Inner arm line. elbow. And it's probably going to be pretty soft here on the underbelly of the arm. Yin surface of the arm. And now, very important, that little juncture, the armpit. Go into the armpit with the cup hand. Oh la la. Part one, very sensitive point. You might find yourself just getting a little subscapula through here. That's a little bit harder of a tap. Nice pause. Feel the difference in the two arms. Let's get going on the other arm. So we're going real slow and thorough through this whole practice today. We could do this whole tapping practice within 2 minutes. Just hanging out for the wooden places. And elbow. Lower arm. Wrist. Yeah. Finger. Wrist. We are waking up energy in the channels, in the primary network channel. Oh, hanging out at that elbow. Now you got to do the armpit softly. Part one, very soft and sensitive point. Might get a little bit of that Aries minor subscapularis serratus anterior. Found a little holding spot here. Nice, we're almost finished. So then how do we get to the bladder channel? Bladder channel runs the whole back of the body, but then it comes up over the top of the head. And this is actually the start, bladder one. So we're going to take little soft fists and we're going to start at the, I'm just trying to view the camera. We're going to start right at the forehead and do little taps right along the parallel channels. Now I'm at the crown of the head and go down the back of the head. So yeah, I had to take my button down and then do the occiput. So this is very soft tapping. Top of the head, back to the forehead. Going back over parallel either side of the center line. And the occiput. Now go around the occiput. There's more channels than just bladder right there. Ooh, so now we get into a little minutia and we turn into tapping hands. So I'm going to tap the sides of my neck. Those are like ridiculous. The triple hit a little bit. Okay, now I'm tapping. Oh, I don't need to go that fast. Around the collarbone. And breathe. Lots of points here. Kidney points, lung points, a little bit lower stomach points, but these kidney points are giving life. Let's say you still had some tension in the forehead or around the temples. Tap there. Just tap, 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 tap. Tapping the forehead. Gallbladder line. So kind of from the temples upwards. Anywhere else on the head that could use some tapping? Anywhere else? What about on the face? Stomach point? The base of the cheeks there, the zygomatic pulse. Let's call it bunny structure. Oh, bridge of the nose, the sinus point. Jaw. These are stomach point here. I'm right at the mandible there. It's TMJ, right at the joint. Oh, yeesh. Along the jaw. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've been wiggling and tapping for 45 minutes. That's awesome. uh, Still working that jaw. My goodness. What's going on in that jaw? Okay. I'm almost ready to give up this jaw. Okay. Pause for a moment here. Feel the body. There's one more wiggly thing I wanted to do in this standing position today. So we really started in a very watery place, right? With like breathing into the dantian, breathing into the hara here in the belly, breathing into the psoas, breathing in to the kidneys. We named this fire in the water. So let's do a couple exercises, a couple movements to activate the fire. Now that fire axis, that's right here in the center of the body. And so we need to feel like Shushumna Nadi, right? That center feeling in the center of the body. And we're now going to shake vigorously. And then there'll also be some very shaky arm movements. And then we'll go back to like vigorous shaking. But the awareness is in this like the fire space in the body. So now we've got to really, and like, you don't have to excessively breathe, but like breathe into the center space. So now we're going to take the hands above and we're shaking from side to side, but do it like in the center. Really shake. Okay, now go back to this bouncing in the middle. You guys need to shake more. Like yeah, this is a vigorous shaking. Right now, this side to side movement. Shaking from the center, really shaking the arms. Come back to the middle. Do one more. Shake in the middle. And now shake side to side. But now with tension. Really shake the hand. Oh, that's come back to center. Wow, feel openness in the trunk. Now, the face. We're gonna like kind of stretch the face like, right? And then you have to open your eyes really big. So I do a few of these joint movements, like jaw movements. I'm moving the face. Getting your eyes open, just notice how naturally the tongue wants to start coming out. And stretch the tongue like you're gonna stretch for the belly button. Okay, last one. You gotta get your Maori face on, respect, where you're gonna really stretch the tongue out and the eyes like that. About 5 times. So breathing in. Like you are sending laser beams out the eyes and the tongue. It's not aggressive. That's very different, right? This is expressive. Try to stretch the tongue all the way into the back of the throat. It's probably helpful to breathe out while you're doing this. Oh, I feel it all the way in the back of my neck. One more time. One more time. Wiggles. Now it's just free wiggles. Come all the way through the body and standing twist. Let it simmer a little with that standing twist. Oh, it feels so good. Fire in the water. Notice how this twist is feeling different. It's flowing in the body, right? So much now expressiveness in the face, right? It's your early morning, you're awake now. Feel the fire in the center body. And as you start to slow down, come all the way to the pause in the standing pose and feel the watery environment. Let's come all the way back to Dantian in the front, the space between the two kidneys in the back, Ming Men. And we find that place where the water is holding the fire. Arms fluff a little. Maybe they come ever so slightly forward, like honey could drip off of the fingertips. Nice even weight distribution on the feet, ankles, knees, hips. Effortlessness in the lower body, effortlessness in the upper body. Breathe with ease into the Ming Men, the meeting place in the center of the body of fire and water. Check in with the kidneys, much more breathable. If you can, stay where you are in the stance, open the eyes and expand awareness through the size of the room. Let the gaze relax into peripheral vision. Feel into all six surface areas behind you, in front, to the right and to the left, above the head and below. Self-healing practice. So to shift the weight from side to side. Move through any of the joints of the body that feel a little holding. Standing hip circle. I'm literally sweating. Hip circles in the opposite direction, like he's running down my face. There was a lot of heat in there. Yeah. Okay. So knees are soft here, figure eight. Coming back to the pelvic bowl, ringing the bell. Forwards and backwards. Pelvic tilting. Smiley faces. Sides of the hips. We're coming up on the toe tip and the loop to the center and over to the opposite side. The smiley faces. Sides of the hips. Nice. We got space between the feet. We're dropping down, and now you got to whine, whine it, yeah. Get down and whine. Yeah, whine in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. Dance it out a little bit. Shake it out, shake a leg. Shake to the front. Shake to the side. Shake to the back. Nice little chikodachi or goddess pose. Standing squat, feet turn outward. Just kind of sitting down into the squat. Weight back into the glutes, knees towards feet. Just come into this grounding. Straightening back up. Wide leg forward fold. Yeah. Yeah, legs might be a little tired from doing all this standing poses. Nice, we're right here. Pivot the right foot out, left foot over, knee comes down to the floor. Enjoy a little lunge here. And then a little range of motion, forward and back in the low lunge. Come back into wide leg forward fold. Pivot over to the opposite side. Low lunge. Hang out here. And have a little rocky. Little range of motion through the lunge. Nice. We're here on the floor. Find yourself in Seiza. Down here on the floor. Also known as Vajrasan. Moment of stillness here. We made it down to the floor. This is a range of motion movement that we do from upward facing dog. The hands come forward, hips come forward, chest is forward, and then we're just bopping a little from side to side. Back into child's pose. Stretching any way that feels good through the shoulder. Shoulder blade subscapular under the shoulder blade. So I'm bending one elbow at a time and just kind of chicken winging a little and breathing under the shoulder blades while I'm in the inversion. Widening the knees, stacking the forearms, resting in the inversion. Here we are on the yin surface, the earth herself honoring. We are in winter. It's not summer, not full yang yet. We're coming back up into Vajrasana. diamond pose, or say that, and then coming into a variation of this pose that's so beautiful for pelvic bowl, where we widen the knees. And I mean, it just depends on the day of how much range of motion you'll get here. Knees go wide, and then we sit down into the pose, very regal pose. Softly bringing knees back together, diamond pose. We find ourselves at the conclusion of this practice today. And perhaps you're asking your body, what's next? Are there a few more poses in mind? Time for relaxation of legs up the wall as your day beginning, and we're gonna step in energized. It's just questing. And who knows, could the whole day be devoted to this like guidance of the body, right? This listening in of the body saying, you know what, this is what needs to be next. I wonder what that would feel like. This is a super fun practice today. I love returning to these healing principles, these the healing practices of the martial end of things. And it'll be the experiment of, what do you feel today? What do you feel in the body? What's moving? What's shaking? So thank you so much. And I will see you all very soon. Keep wiggling.